In this video, we're going to talk about another sequence type in Python, and this is tuples or tuples. I don't know how people say it. I will vary back and forth. So a tuple is just a list, but it's immutable, which means we can't change the internal elements of it. As always, just like with strings, which are immutable, you can always just create a whole new one, but you just can't change it by part, okay? Unlike list, the punctuation mark of choice for tuples is going to be parentheses. Okay, so I can declare here we're declaring a my tup equal just to open parentheses. It's fine. Something a little odd about tuples that if you have just one item, you have to put a comma there. Okay, so it won't get confused. The parentheses in Python are used for a bunch of different things. Okay, so just like before, we can have a sequence that can be all different types. We can specify them all at once. Okay, we can't append because we can't change. Okay, we have to create a whole new one if we wanted to append. Okay, and just like before with a list, if you specify the index incorrectly, you're going to get an index error. Okay, I say here lists. What I mean here, I didn't change that. It's going to be tuples. So tuples can contain other tuples to form immutable matrices. Okay, so in this case, we have what appears to us to be a two-dimensional array. It's actually a tuple of tuples. Okay, and just like before, even though, and this kind of gets me, I want more symmetry here. Even though we have to declare it with the parentheses, we still access it with the square brackets, just like a list, just like a string. Okay, so the first row is just like we did for a list. Same thing for the first element. Okay, with all of these sequences, we can iterate. So we're iterating here. Print them out. Works like you would expect. Okay. There is a tuple constructor, just like it's a list constructor. So you can create, didn't change all my words here. You can create tuples from other things. Okay, so you can create a tuple from a string. You can create a tuple from a list. All that stuff is all okay. Okay. You can still use in and not in as a test to see if something's inside of a tuple or not, if it's contained there. Okay. And in general, any of the functions that work with lists will work on tuples as long as they do not force a change in the tuple itself. Okay, so for examples, we've got here, index works. Index still will find the first occurrence of Bob and return that index value, okay, or throw an error if not. And the count will find how many times Bob appears in the tuple, again, throwing an error if it doesn't appear at all. Okay, so those work. Sort, reverse, pop, remove, delete, all those things do not work with tuples because they cannot be changed. Okay, so tuples are interesting. In some ways, you may wonder why we're reducing functionality. So why do we have a data structure that we can't change? Okay, and I think the answer is there are situations in code where we don't want there to be any changes. We can't really declare things constant in Python like we do in C++. Okay, so we need to have a way to protect list-like structures. So if you want a list that's not going to change, you don't want any code to have any effect on your list, then the best thing that you can do is not have a list, have it be a tuple instead. Okay, so hopefully that introduction to tuples will get you going. Basically treat them like a list, but if you try to do something that it doesn't allow, then it's going to give you an error and stop you from it.